Imagine this, a royal family known for its perfect composure, unshakable tradition, and unwavering strength. But what if beneath this picture-perfect image lies a deeper, more complex story? A story that's only just beginning to unfold. What happens when the royal family's calm exterior begins to crack, revealing the emotional battles, health struggles, and untold truths they've worked so hard to protect? Stay with us as we uncover the secret behind Princess Catherine's shocking health diagnosis, the speculation surrounding Prince Louis, and the emotional undercurrent that could change everything we thought we knew about the royal family. Lady Louise grew up largely outside the public spotlight. Her parents deliberately chose to shield her from excessive media exposure, allowing her to grow at her own pace and on her own terms. Public appearances were kept to a minimum, and privacy was prioritized above all else. Sound familiar? Royal watchers have pointed out the striking similarities between Lady Louise's upbringing and Prince Louis's increasing absence from the public eye. The situations may not be identical, but the approach looks eerily similar. When a royal child may require additional space, structure, or protection, the palace does not announce it. Instead, behavior is subtly adjusted, and the public is left to notice the gaps. Perhaps the most emotionally compelling element of the speculation surrounding Prince Louis is not just his behavior alone, but Princess Charlotte's. Time and time again, cameras have caught Charlotte positioning herself between Louis and the crowds, guiding him, gently correcting him, watching him closely. In several public moments, she seems less like a sibling and more like a guardian. Royal analysts have noted that Charlotte often holds Louis's hand as they move through crowds, signals him when to stand still or move, maintains awareness of his surroundings, and steps in when he appears overwhelmed. Some dismiss this as a coincidence, others see it as an older sister's natural instinct, but many parents, especially those with neurodivergent children, recognize the dynamic instantly. It looks like learned protectiveness. Children don't usually take on that role unless they've seen a need for it, and Charlotte does it consistently. One reason these rumors persist and resonate is that autism is no longer viewed as a taboo condition. It is understood as a spectrum, not a limitation. In fact, some supporters argue that if Prince Louis were neurodivergent, it would align with Prince William and Catherine's public advocacy for mental health awareness, inclusivity, and child well-being. They have repeatedly spoken about emotional development, early childhood support, and the importance of understanding children as individuals rather than as projections of expectations. But then, could Louis's calm and careful nature hint at something deeper? And how does it compare to past generations of royals? Long before Prince Louis became the question mark of the royal family, there was a moment, brief, almost forgettable at the time, that would later be revisited with very different eyes. A comment attributed to Meghan Markle, a reaction from Catherine, Princess of Wales, and a phrase that sounded harmless on the surface but lingered far longer than anyone expected: baby brain. When the story first circulated, it was framed as a social misstep. Meghan, newly pregnant and adjusting to royal life, was said to have joked that Kate had baby brain, a colloquial phrase often used to describe forgetfulness during pregnancy or early motherhood. According to reports, the comment did not land well. Kate was reportedly hurt. The moment was folded neatly into the larger narrative of tension between the two women and eventually buried beneath far louder controversies. At the time, no one treated it as anything more than awkwardness. But hindsight has a way of reopening doors that were never fully closed. Because years later, as speculation around Prince Louis quietly grows, that comment has begun to feel different. And people are starting to ask whether baby brain was really what Meghan meant, or whether it was the closest socially acceptable phrase she could reach for in a moment she didn't fully know how to navigate. From the moment Catherine entered royal life, she has been described using the same words over and over again: reserved, controlled, emotionally contained, highly structured. She is praised for her composure, her consistency, her ability to perform flawlessly in public without visible cracks. She is not impulsive, she does not improvise well on camera. Her strength has always been preparation, repetition, and discipline. She follows protocol meticulously, she adheres to routines. She appears most comfortable when expectations are clear and variables are limited. None of this is criticism. In fact, many people watching now recognize something else in those traits, something that until recently was rarely discussed in women at all, because autism, especially in women, does not look the way people expect. For decades, autism was narrowly defined through a male lens: social withdrawal, lack of empathy, and obvious communication difficulties. But modern understanding has shifted dramatically. We now know that many women on the spectrum are highly functional, deeply empathetic, socially capable, and extremely skilled at masking. So could it be that Meghan saw something different? Meghan Markle came into the royal family from a very different world: Hollywood, media, fast adaptation, improvisation, emotional openness. She is expressive, reactive, and verbally fluid. She reads rooms quickly and responds instinctively. Kate does not. If Meghan, newly inside the palace, encountered a Kate who seemed rigid, overwhelmed, or slow to adjust during pregnancy and early motherhood, she may have reached for the closest socially acceptable explanation available. Baby brain is a polite euphemism that softens observation and makes things seem temporary. But what if Meghan sensed something deeper and didn't yet have the language or the permission to say it? If Kate does carry these traits, whether fully on the spectrum or simply with overlapping characteristics, the possibility that Luice will inherit a more visible expression of them is significant. Autism and related neurodivergent traits are often hereditary, and it is not uncommon for traits to manifest differently across generations. A parent may manage them subtly and successfully, while a child may express them more openly or intensely, especially in high-stimulus environments like public life. This could explain why Luice appears quieter, more reserved, and carefully monitored in public appearances. Charlotte's consistent protective behavior toward her younger brother also fits a plausible family dynamic. Siblings often mirror the family's adaptive strategies, especially when a child shows vulnerability or needs additional emotional support. Charlotte's attentiveness may be instinctive, learned from observing her parents, or a combination of both. Now, if Meghan's words revealed traits that run in the family, how might that connect to the hidden challenges Kate has faced in her own health? In mid-January 2024, Kensington Palace released a short, carefully worded statement that immediately raised questions. Catherine, Princess of Wales, had undergone planned abdominal surgery at the London clinic. The palace emphasized that the procedure had been successful and that her condition was non-cancerous. The statement also noted that Catherine would remain hospitalized for up to 2 weeks and would not return to public duties until after Easter. Even though the detailing stood out, as senior royals rarely announce recovery timelines unless the situation is significant, the reassurance was calming enough and widely accepted. But as January turned into February, something began to feel off. Not only did Catherine not appear in public, but no photographs of her were released, not even to show that her health was improving. There was an unusual total visual absence that left a lot of room for speculation. The lack of updates only fueled rumors, and soon it became apparent that there was more to the story than the palace had revealed. The quiet nature of the palace's updates added to the air of uncertainty, leading many to speculate that there was more behind the scenes. The situation escalated in early February, when it was revealed that Catherine had been dealing with a health crisis much larger than anyone had anticipated. After months of silence, Buckingham Palace finally confirmed that Catherine had been diagnosed with cancer, a fact that shocked the world. Although she had kept the news private for the sake of her children, the truth came to light when her condition worsened. The announcement shook not just the royal family but the entire country. It was clear that Catherine's battle with cancer would have profound consequences for the monarchy, especially as she continued to support her children through the uncertainty. Despite the private nature of her diagnosis, the public had a right to know, and as the news spread, the conversation shifted. The question that lingered now was not just about Catherine's health, but about the monarchy itself. How would this crisis, combined with Louis's increasing absence and the ongoing rumors about his neurodivergence, impact the royal family's future? Lady Louise Windsor, the daughter of Prince Edward and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, was born into the royal spotlight. However, unlike her cousins who have grown up in the full glare of the media, Louise was deliberately shielded from it. Her parents, aware of the intense pressures that accompany royal life, made the conscious decision to protect her from excessive public exposure, allowing her to develop at her own pace, on her own terms. Public appearances were careful, curated, often minimized, and the focus was placed on privacy and emotional security rather than maintaining a constant media presence. For the most part, Louise's childhood was spent outside the camera's view, protected by a strong family unit that prioritized her well-being above all else. The choice to shield Louise from the public eye wasn't a decision made lightly. It was one that came from a deep understanding of the potential long-term effects of constant scrutiny, especially when it came to the emotional and mental health of a child growing up in the royal family. There's a certain kind of pressure that comes with being a royal child, an expectation to behave perfectly, to adhere to unspoken rules of conduct, and to maintain a polished image at all times. Some children thrive under these circumstances, but others, like Lady Louise, may find it overwhelming. Louise's parents understood this well, which is why they made the conscious decision to give her the space she needed. In many ways, this decision parallels the approach taken by Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, with their own children. This strategy, though not often spoken of publicly, has drawn attention as Prince Louis, the youngest of the Wales children, has followed in Lady Louise's footsteps. Though not identical, the similarities between the two children's upbringings are undeniable. Both have grown up in the royal family, yet both have had their private lives protected with utmost care. Both families have been keenly aware of the importance of allowing their children to grow and develop without the constant weight of public scrutiny. And as Prince Louis increasingly steps back from the public eye, opting for quieter moments away from the cameras, the parallels between his and Lady Louise's experiences become all the more evident. This growing sense of privacy around Louis, much like his cousin, has sparked much speculation, but the true complexity lies not in the absence of the child from the spotlight, but in the behavior of his older sister, Princess Charlotte. While Prince Louis has become somewhat of an enigma, it is Charlotte who has often been seen by the public as his guardian, his protector, a role that she has taken on with apparent ease. Over the years, the world has observed Charlotte's subtle yet consistent actions in the public sphere, actions that go beyond what one might expect from an older sibling. Time and again, cameras have caught Charlotte positioning herself between Louis and the crowd, offering a sense of calm that seems to provide him with the reassurance he needs. Charlotte has been seen gently guiding him through crowds, touching his arm or hand when he appears uncertain, and even stepping in to help him navigate tricky social situations. In moments where others might expect Louis to be engaging with the public, Charlotte can be seen monitoring his surroundings, ready to step in if the situation feels overwhelming for him. This dynamic, this quiet, protective behavior has been observed by royal analysts and parents alike. Some dismiss it as just a typical older sibling looking out for a younger brother. Others, however, see it as something more, a learned instinct and awareness of her brother's unique needs. It is as though Charlotte, from an early age, recognized that her younger brother might require additional emotional support, and in doing so, took it upon herself to offer that support. She doesn't just watch over him, she actively ensures his comfort and emotional well-being. She doesn't always engage with the public as much as her brother does, nor does she seek the attention that he does. Instead, her focus is often on him, watching him, guiding him through social situations with a quiet wisdom. For many parents, especially those who are familiar with neurodivergence, Charlotte's behavior towards Louis speaks volumes. It looks like learned protectiveness, something that typically emerges when a sibling recognizes that another may need additional care. It's a familiar dynamic for families where one child may require more attention or space to feel comfortable in social settings, but it's not just about the physical act of looking out for someone. It's about an emotional intelligence, an awareness of what her brother needs even when words aren't spoken. It's the kind of behavior that many parents of neurodivergent children recognize instantly, an understanding of how to support and help another person through emotional challenges. This is one of the reasons why speculation surrounding Prince Louis's behavior persists. As the public has come to understand more about neurodivergence, particularly in recent years, there's been a shift in how such conditions are viewed. Autism, once seen as a taboo subject, is now recognized as a spectrum, a diverse range of traits and behaviors, none of which should be seen as a limitation. Autism isn't something to be fixed, it's simply a part of who someone is, and it comes with its own set of strengths and challenges. Some have argued that if Prince Louis were indeed neurodivergent, it would align perfectly with Prince William and Catherine's long-standing commitment to mental health awareness, inclusivity, and early childhood development. Prince William and Catherine have often spoken publicly about the importance of understanding children as individuals, each with their own unique needs and potential. They have been vocal advocates for creating a more inclusive society, one that doesn't just focus on normal development, but recognizes and supports the diverse ways in which children learn, grow, and interact with the world around them. If Louis's quiet nature and careful demeanor were indeed a reflection of neurodivergence, it would not be something the royal family would shy away from discussing. In fact, it would be in perfect alignment with the family's public advocacy for mental health and their commitment to supporting children's emotional well-being, no matter what that might look like. However, this brings us to a larger question. Does Prince Louis's behavior suggest that there might be more beneath the surface? His calm and sometimes distant nature is far more than just shyness. It hints at something deeper, something that might echo the experiences of past generations of royals. It's easy to overlook these subtle clues, especially when they don't align with the royal family's traditional expectations of behavior, but perhaps it's time to look at these traits with a fresh perspective. There's another element to the story that adds to the mystery, one that stretches back to when Meghan Markle first entered the royal family. At the time, the tensions between Meghan and Catherine were widely discussed, but there was one moment in particular that has come to hold greater significance in hindsight. Meghan, newly pregnant, was reportedly heard making a comment about Catherine, baby brain. It was a seemingly innocent remark, one that many might have shrugged off as a harmless joke. After all, baby brain is a common term used to describe the forgetfulness or mental fog that can accompany pregnancy. But for Catherine, who has always been known for her poise, precision, and attention to detail, the comment did not sit well. When the story broke, it was initially framed as a social misstep, a harmless comment that was perhaps ill-timed or poorly chosen. Catherine, according to reports, was hurt by the remark, but it was quickly brushed aside as a minor issue in a much larger narrative of royal tension. However, as time has passed, and as speculation about Prince Louis has quietly gained traction, that seemingly trivial comment has begun to take on a different meaning. Was Meghan's comment about baby brain really just a harmless joke? Or was it a deeper, more perceptive observation about Catherine's behavior that was simply too difficult to articulate at the time? Could it have been a subtle hint at something more, something that Catherine herself may not have fully understood or acknowledged back then? It's possible that Meghan's comment was not just about forgetfulness during pregnancy, but about something more. Could it have been a way of describing the ways in which Catherine, who is often so composed in public, might sometimes appear distant or detached in private moments? Could Meghan have seen something that others did? If Catherine does, in fact, carry traits associated with neurodivergence, Meghan's comment might have been her attempt to articulate something that others, including Catherine herself, may not have fully recognized. And so, as we look at Prince Louis today, the quiet, reserved and introspective child who seems to exist largely outside of the royal spotlight, his behavior takes on new meaning. Perhaps Louis, like his mother, is navigating a world that isn't always easy to make sense of, especially when there are expectations placed on him that might feel overwhelming. Perhaps he is more similar to his cousin Lady Louise than anyone realized, a child who, by nature or by design, has been shielded from the intensity of public life. But whatever the reasons behind Prince Louis's behavior, whether they are rooted in neurodivergence, simply shyness, or something else entirely, it is clear that his family is doing everything in their power to support him, to protect him, and to ensure that he grows up with the tools he needs to succeed in his own way, and if that means quietly stepping back from the public eye, so be it. After all, in the royal family, where every gesture is scrutinized, sometimes the most important thing a family can do is simply allow a child to be themselves. Absence, an eerie silence surrounding the princess's recovery, which quickly sparked the kind of curiosity and concern that the royal family usually works so hard to avoid. The absence of updates, combined with a lack of public appearances, only deepened the sense of mystery. For a family that usually provides a carefully controlled narrative, this lack of visibility was significant. Public figures, especially royals, don't simply disappear without explanation. As time went on, whispers began to circulate about what might really be going on behind the scenes. Some suggested that the royal family was deliberately withholding details for privacy reasons, while others feared that Catherine's condition might be more serious than the official statement had let on. Speculation became more intense, fueled by the fact that no photographs were released, even as Catherine's health was said to be improving. In a world where every detail of royal life is documented and scrutinized, this kind of secrecy only adds fuel to the fire. But as February progressed, something new came to light. Catherine's recovery timeline, initially announced as a 2-week stay in the hospital, extended far beyond what had been expected. Even more disconcerting, it was revealed that Catherine was not only continuing her recovery in private, but had also been dealing with ongoing health challenges that hadn't been disclosed. The lack of transparency led to a growing sense that something more significant was happening behind closed doors, something that the palace wasn't yet ready to fully reveal. And then came the bombshell. A few days before Valentine's Day, Kensington Palace issued another brief but startling statement that shocked the public and the media alike. The palace confirmed that Catherine had been diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. The news was staggering, particularly given the way it had been handled so discreetly. Catherine's cancer diagnosis, which had been kept out of the public eye for weeks, was confirmed only when it became impossible to hide any longer. The statement acknowledged the severity of her condition, but emphasized that her prognosis was cautiously optimistic. Still, the delay in sharing this information left many wondering why it had taken so long for the royal family to come forward with the truth. The revelation was a jarring reminder of how even the most public figures, those whose lives are lived in the spotlight, are still human, with vulnerabilities and struggles hidden beneath the carefully constructed royal facade. Catherine's diagnosis, though shocking, wasn't the only part of the story. The public was now left to grapple with the idea that the Princess of Wales, so often portrayed as the epitome of composure and control, was facing a personal battle that no one had suspected. The situation raised even more questions about the nature of royal privacy and how much the public really has the right to know about the health of their monarchs. The palace had long prided itself on protecting its family's privacy, but this new revelation about Catherine, who had so often been viewed as the unflappable, graceful figurehead of the royal family, opened a window into the more intimate, unseen struggles of the monarchy. The palace, ever careful with its communications, had initially downplayed the situation, choosing to withhold information until it was absolutely necessary to reveal the truth. This decision, though understandable from a privacy standpoint, left many with a lingering sense that something had been left unsaid. In the aftermath of the announcement, conversations began to shift. What had once been a discussion about Catherine's public composure and her role within the royal family now began to include the reality of what was happening behind closed doors. It raised important questions about the nature of royal life and how the family navigates health crises. It also forced people to confront the reality that despite their privileged positions, even royals are not immune to the challenges of health, illness, and mortality. Amidst this public crisis, attention also turned to Prince Louis, who had already been the subject of growing speculation due to his withdrawn behavior and his low-profile public appearances. Could there be a connection between the health struggles Catherine was facing and the quiet nature of her youngest child? The idea that Louis might inherit certain characteristics or traits, whether neurodivergent or simply introverted, became even more poignant in the context of his mother's own hidden battles. Catherine's health crisis also highlighted the importance of family support. In many of the public moments that followed, Prince William stood resolutely by his wife's side. Their united front was a reminder that despite the public roles they play, the couple's personal bond and their commitment to each other and their children were at the core of their strength. As Catherine fought her own battle, William's role as a supportive husband and father became more pronounced. It was clear that behind the headlines and the royal duties, there was a family navigating a crisis together, just like any other family would. The emotional weight of these events only seemed to deepen the mystery surrounding Louis. Was his withdrawal from the public eye merely a sign of shyness, or was it a deeper reflection of the stress and emotional weight that the family had been carrying? Was his behavior a response to his mother's struggles, or was it an early sign of a different, quieter kind of strength, one that was yet to be fully understood? As the public learned more about Catherine's condition, the discussion expanded to encompass not just her health, but also how the royal family, in its public and private moments, deals with crisis, secrecy, and support. The conversation turned to the nature of family bonds, the role of mental and emotional health in the royal sphere, and the ways in which individuals can hold up under extreme pressure while still maintaining their humanity. Now, as the royal family prepares for what comes next, the conversation about Prince Louis has evolved. His low-key public presence, once viewed as strange or even concerning, now seems to fit into a larger narrative, a narrative of a family that is quietly and respectfully navigating personal battles, maintaining privacy, and protecting the younger members of the family in the process. The public might not have all the answers about Prince Louis, nor do they have full insight into Catherine's health journey, but one thing is clear. The monarchy, despite all its public visibility, is still a family, and like any family, it is bound by love, struggles, and the desire to protect one another. So what does the future hold for Prince Louis, Catherine, and the entire royal family? Will their private struggles shape the monarchy in ways we never expected? And how does this new chapter affect the way we view royal life? If you found this story as gripping as we did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated on the latest royal news, exclusive insights, and emotional stories from the heart of the monarchy. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Let's continue this conversation. What do you think of Catherine's health revelation? Do you believe there's more to Prince Louis's behavior than we know? Join the discussion below.